Remakes have shown no sign of slowing down in 2024. Well over a dozen remakes have been projected to release this year, and we haven't even reached summer yet. Polishing up the old classic to modern standards is one trend that both companies and gamers alike agree upon. Of course, everyone differs on what makes a great remake. Some prefer a one-to-one remake with enhanced visuals and controls, while others want something more transformative, recreating entire scenes and scenarios to tell the story from a different angle. This year's list of our 15 best video game remakes of all time includes games that touch on both philosophies. Remakes are inherently subjective and rife with debate, so this list won't agree with everybody. That being said, let's dig into our 2024 edition of the 15 best video game remakes of all time. 15. Oddworld New and Tasty. Oddworld has always been something of a niche series, and thankfully the remake of 1997's Abe's Odyssey hasn't lost that unique charm. New and Tasty successfully takes the janky early 3D game and brushes it up to 2014 polish, with modern HD graphics. The clearest demonstration of this polish is the much improved level flow thanks to the elimination of screen partitions in favor of seamless platforming. Oddworld New and Tasty is the best way to play the 1997 classic today, and it helped pave the way for a wider Oddworld audience. 14. The Last of Us Part 1. The Last of Us Part 1 took one of the greatest games of all time and made it even better. The graphical improvements showcase the power of the PS5 hardware, with remarkably dense foliage and improved animations across the board. AI got a substantial overhaul as well, as companions help you fight off the improved enemy AI. The Last of Us Part 1 features a speedrun mode that tracks your time per chapter. The Last of Us Part 1 may not be the most needed remake in the world, but it sure stands as one of the most impressive. 13. Shadow of the Colossus. 2018's Shadow of the Colossus is another example of a one-to-one faithful remake that doesn't distance itself far from the original. As expected, Bluepoint Games updated the graphics to modern standards. The result is a truly transformed vision of the classic PS2 game, where the slightest change in lighting can give a totally unique ambience from the original. Best of all, the controls are vastly improved with a bevy of convenience features the original lacked. 12. Star Fox 64 3DS. Who doesn't love Star Fox 64? It's such an easy game to pick up and play, and the 3DS remake makes it even easier with its portability. Star Fox 64 looks amazing on the 3DS, with some of the most attractive 3D visuals on the system. By and large, Star Fox 64 3DS is a faithful remake of the arcade shooter original with a host of cool enhancements. The orchestrated soundtrack is easy to love, and the new score attack mode is a fun way to replay all those classic levels with added challenge and rewards. 11. System Shock. 1994's seminal System Shock redefined what a shooter can be and helped create the immersive sim genre. Fast forward to 2023 and the remake is just as fascinating and immersive as it was back in the day. 2023's System Shock is by far the best way to experience the game. The gunplay is worlds apart from the janky original, with tight and snappy controls and a convenient interface. The subpar music is fully redone here with an ambient soundtrack that accompanies the HD graphics wonderfully. System Shock gets the royal treatment in this faithful remake, even keeping the backtracking in the original. There's never been a better time to experience System Shock, especially with the console release dropping in a couple of weeks and the enhanced sequel coming soon. 10. Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes. Metal Gear Solid had some rough gameplay segments on the PS1. Pseudo-tank controls compounded some of the game's backtracking issues and made it a slog at times. Well, the remake smooths those control issues over with the wonderful GameCube control stick scheme and gameplay lifted from Metal Gear Solid 2. Twin Snakes also adds some updated cutscenes, which serve to fill in transitions and add more comedy relief to the game. Best of all was the improved graphics to the jagged polygonal PS1 original. Metal Gear Solid has some of gaming's most hardcore fans, so this remake didn't satisfy all of them, but it certainly did go over well for most and helped pave the way forward for future entries in the series. 9. Yakuza Kiwami. Yakuza Kiwami is a faithful remake of the very first Yakuza, many systems and general story connectivity from Yakuza 0. Goro Majima is a recurring character in a quest chain that delighted and bewildered us in equal measure. And the inclusion of Yakuza 0's Pocket Racer and minigames didn't hurt the remake either. All in all, Yakuza Kiwami stands as the most quintessential remake in the series, making for a quirky but fantastic sequel to fan-favorite Yakuza 0. 8. Kingdom Hearts RE Chain of Memories. Chain of Memories has long been the ugly duck of the popular series. The original Chain of Memories released on the Game Boy Advance, which just further distanced players from accepting it, but when the remake came out it was suddenly accepted as a must-play, or watch, entry. Without hyperbole, RE Chain of Memories supplies the best narrative of all the Kingdom Hearts games. The compelling mystery surrounding Castle Oblivion and the sinister Organization 13 get their HD treatment in this remake with full voice acting. If you want the true KH story experience, you owe it to yourself to play RE Chain of Memories, or just watch the brilliant cutscenes. 7. Dead Space 2023. The remake of the original Dead Space is without a doubt one of the most intense gaming experiences out there. The inclusion of enhanced DualSense rumble facilitates the ultra-detailed visuals to a scary degree. Most of you already know just how phenomenal the original Dead Space is, so imagine that but turned up several notches. I particularly appreciate the added nuance they added to Isaac Clarke and other characters' personalities. There's just the right amount of small additional details to fill in story gaps of the original without taking away its lean pacing and tension. Dead Space's remake is one of the best showcases of how modern hardware can enhance a masterpiece and just how intense and visceral gaming in general can be. 6. Ratchet Clank 2016. 3 years may not seem like a long time, but up until 2013, Insomniac was releasing a new Ratchet & Clank like clockwork every year. The 3 years of silence was broken with the first PS4 Ratchet & Clank title, and it was a remake of the very first entry to boot. 2016's Ratchet & Clank remains the smoothest action platformer game I've ever played. Sure, Rift Apart for the PS5 featured next-gen tech with the new dimensional Rift gun, but you just can't beat the simplicity and excellent pacing of the remade original game. The planet of Rilgar is a highlight in the series I'll never forget, not least of all due to the fun hoverboard minigame and pixelizer gun. Ratchet & Clank 2016 is my favorite game in the series due to its tight pacing and excellent recreation of the original's unmatched level design. 5. Spyro Reignited Trilogy. It's not cheating to have 3 games for 1 entry since that's how Spyro Reignited is packaged, and what a sweet deal it is. The Spyro Reignited Trilogy faithfully recreates the first 3 games in the Spyro series with fluid controls and completely redone graphics and physics. Each of the dragons is fully voiced, and the music is completely redone while remaining faithful. Toys from Bob nailed the visual aesthetic with Spyro Reignited, giving the old PS1 series Pixar-level attention to detail. This is as faithful as remakes get, so don't expect new or changed content here. That adherence to the original source is what makes this remake so special and deserving of a high spot on this list. Out of all of the entries here, Spyro Reignited may just be the one hardest to find criticism for due to its straightforward one-to-one approach. 4. Black Mesa. Black Mesa is a remake of the original Half-Life, built within Half-Life 2's engine. The well-optimized controls of the original weren't bad to begin with, but they're made even better with the polished Half-Life 2 tech. It's more than just a graphical and control overhaul though. Many areas have been redesigned to feature a more balanced enemy and weapon layout. One of the biggest flaws of the original was the final area, Zen, which got completely redesigned into a very fun and well-paced level with Black Mesa. If you're a Half-Life fan or just a shooter fan in general, Black Mesa is a must-play for its adherence to the source material and dedication to fixing its flaws. 3. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. RPG fans rejoice. The decade-old promise of a fully fleshed and remade Final Fantasy VII has been fulfilled. The developer has somehow managed to squeeze a blown-up HD version of the middle portion of Final Fantasy VII into a single game. Iconic locales, such as Costa del Sol and the infamous Gold Saucer amusement park, are blown up to a glorious HD scale without losing any of their original charm. It's a faithful remake that expands on the story elements of the original in ways the PS1 couldn't quite communicate. The acting, soundtrack, and deep battle system continue to blow me away 150 hours later. 2. Super Mario 64 DS. Super Mario 64 is one of those classics all gamers speak fondly about yet hesitate to return to. Whether due to the rough N64 controls or the terrible camera system, the original has aged rather poorly. That's where the Nintendo DS remake comes in. Controls are vastly improved and the camera is downright perfect for its 3D environs. Super Mario 64 DS was the first time me and many other fans experienced the awe of added content to a beloved classic. The remake added 30 new stars, totaling 150 for the full game. Super Mario 64 DS is the definitive way to play this classic. I just wish it was available on a modern platform so more could experience it. 1. Resident Evil 2 2019. Pretty much every modern remake owes something to 2019's Resident Evil 2. The RE2 remake established a new benchmark of what it means to take an original game and polish it to modern specifications while expanding and adding to it. Characters such as William Birkin and Chief Irons received substantial development compared to the original, and the narrative cohesively ties into the wider Resident Evil setting following the events of RE2. Obviously, the tank controls of the original had to go in favor of precise over-the-shoulder shooting. In addition to the rich expansions on the original content, the remake adds a fourth survival mode and dozens of unlockable secrets, ranging from new playable characters to an unbreakable knife for future playthroughs. Resident Evil 2 shines as an example of how to remake a classic game, earning at the top spot for the second year in a row. That's all for now. If you enjoy what you saw, please hit the like button. And if you're new to the channel, now is a great time to subscribe. We upload brand new videos every single day. After subscribing, don't forget to enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you next time, right here on GamingBolt.